All right, we got Bud
I'll
Black
tell
here.
you
We'll
afterwards.
start with Noah. Noah, go ahead.
Hey, Bud. For Tapia, in the last 8 games, he's hit 459.
Yes.
And he's had a hit in all 8 of those games. What have you
Right.
seen with him at the plate more where he's changed a little bit where before he was, of course, struggling?
Well, I think there's always the ebbs and flows for hitters, but I think Tap's at his best, Noah, when he's using the whole field. The swing is shorter, more compact. He lets the ball get a little bit deep on him, where he sees the ball, for just a touch longer. And then he can, with his great hands, he can manipulate the barrel and get the good part of the bat on the ball. So, we've seen that. Where he struggles is when I think he gets a little pull happy. The swing gets a little bit longer. In most cases, a little bit more overly aggressive. So, you notice in Miami, a lot of balls hit on the barrel, opposite field. Not many pulled base hits, even though he's capable of pulling the ball. But using the whole field, swinging at strikes, the right amount of aggressiveness. And I think you're seeing right now what he's capable of when he's going well.
Secondly, for Brendan Rodgers, he's hitting second in the lineup today. Obviously, he's been doing better, but that's for the highest he's been in the lineup this year. What have you seen out of him lately?
Well, I think, hitting him second is just a function of how he's swinging the bat. I think he's 8 for his last 14, couple homers, better contact. The at-bats have been better. So, let's run him up there and see what we got. I think a couple of the other guys who are down at the bottom of the order, maybe not the quality of at-bats over the last week or so that Brendan's had. So it's a little bit of the hotter hand, right? We've all talked about that. You guys on the other end of the Zoom call, obviously talk about that a lot. So, but what he's doing, I think, is first and foremost, he's relaxed. I think there's a natural tendency for a lot of players, a lot of young players, and we've talked about this with Brendan to press a little bit, try to meet expectations or maybe exceed expectations. He just has to be himself. And I think, once he hit his first home run, once he, got a couple hits, on the homestand, I could sense that he was relaxing a little bit, and his whole everything was a little bit more relaxed and confident. So hopefully that continues. But, we feel right now he's in a good spot.
And for Kyle Freeland tonight, assuming there's no rain or anything like that that interrupts the game,
Right.
What are you expecting out of him today to improve upon his last few starts?
Well, I think, where he has to improve upon is just the consistency of making pitches. I think it's been a little bit spotty, from at bat to at bat, or even at times pitch to pitch, just, really stringing pitches together to get his outs. Stuff is fine. Physically, he's in a good spot. Mentally, he's fine. It's just a matter of, I think, the consistency pitch after pitch to hit his spots and get his outs. So I think that's where the challenge is tonight for Kyle. My expectation is that he's going to do it. I think that, there's no better competitor. There's no better guy who's prepared physically and mentally. He and Dom and the pitching coaches will have their meeting. We'll get a plan of attack against their hitters. And Kyle will be prepared for all of that. So, no issues there. Just that we got to string some pitches together. And I think it starts really with the fastball getting in good spots.
And then lastly, do you happen to have any injury updates on John Gray or Chris Owings?
Yes. John played catch today, stretched out to 90 to 100 feet, threw the ball with some intensity. He feels good. Now it's just a matter of probably going to do that again tomorrow, and we'll loosely, sketch some things out on paper as far as a plan for John moving forward. But he's making great progress. Nothing really to report yet when he might get back on the mound for the Rockies. But I like the fact that his elbow feels great. He's playing catch with with an effort level that is testing the elbow. So he's doing fine. Chris Owings is here in Cincinnati. He will go through, batting practice today, fielding practice today with the guys. He'll do that again tomorrow. And then Sunday, it looks like if he comes out of this weekend fine, he'll report to the Albuquerque club and start a rehab assignment.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes, buddy. Wanted to follow up on one of the questions that Noah just asked. With Kyle, he's a very competitive guy. When he does have a few things to work on, do you show him kind of the negatives, or do you keep him positive? Like when you look at film, hey, look at this good pitch you threw, as opposed to this pitch that didn't land. How do you do that to make sure that he stays positive mentally?
Well, I think it's a little both. I think that, first of all, I think with Kyle, he's a great self-evaluator. So, he watches his outings, pitch by pitch. The pitching coaches and I watch the outings pitch by pitch. We watch replays of the game. We'll pick out particular at-bats, particular pitches. So all that is out in front of all of us. And Kyle's, doesn't matter if there's some negatives or positives. He's a great self-evaluator, and lessons learned over the years that Kyle has partaked in. He gets it. He knows what he needs to do. So it's a little bit of both, right? There's some positive reinforcements, whether it's pitches or delivery, and the same thing goes on the other side. If there's a breakdown or a bad pitch, you look at that and try to find the solution to correct it.
With Rogers, you had tried him some up in the order at various spots in spring training. Is that where kind of the method to spring training comes into it, that you want to move guys up and down so they see the lineup from different spots?
Well, I think with most players, where you hit in the lineup does not matter. I think, with certain players, they need to be certain parts of the order to bring out the best part of their game. I think with Brendan, I think probably through his minor league career, he's probably hit everywhere, right? I'd have to look to see if he hit leadoff, but I wouldn't be surprised if early in his career in the minors, he might have hit leadoff. But, he's probably hit anywhere from, 2 to 5 in the minor leagues. I know here in the big leagues, it's probably been, more of the middle of the order to down in the order. But, this shouldn't bother him where he hits.
Okay. One thing I wanted to touch on also was some of your veteran pitchers that you go into to protect leads. They're pitching very well right now. They went through a period where, things were kind of variable. But watching how they reacted to that, how much does that help your younger pitchers, your lesser service time guys, the fact that they saw their leaders, so to speak, struggle, and also saw them get out of it?
Well, I think every day that a young pitcher's in the big leagues, they gain valuable experience. They're watching big league games. They're watching how innings play out. They're watching, and they're formulating their own scouting report for future potential matchups against hitters, not only this year, but next year and years beyond. There's great conversations that go in major league bullpens from, the veteran guys to the younger guys. And that starts from the time the first pitch is thrown. But I think it's great for younger pitchers to see veteran pitchers who maybe have had ups and downs, trials and tribulations of variable performance, how they come each and every day with the same mindset of confidence and trying to, put up a zero that night, or in some cases a couple zeros that night if you're asked of that. So I think the consistency of who you are as a player, your preparation, how you go about your day, I think does lead to success when you're called upon. And I think younger players, the Bowdens, the Gilberts, the Sheffields, hopefully are learning that. Justin Lawrence, when he was here, when he comes back, he'll be better off for the time that he spent here. So, all those fellows have learned. Yancey now is, a couple-year player. Stevenson is, 3 or 4. Estevez, 4 or 5 years of service. The Bard, Givens, Kinley, those are, great role models and great, mentors for a lot of our bullpen guys.
And just last one from me, and I've missed the last couple of days on it, but Joe Harvey, I remember the numbers have looked good down in AAA. How is he doing? And is he kind of pitching himself back into, back into consideration here?
Yeah, Joe's pitched well. We check those, those Albuquerque games every night through, through our scouting reports, through our game reports, through our conversations with Blaine Beatty, Warren Schaefer, the guys in AAA who are watching every pitch and watching every play. But Joe's doing fine. We know Joe. We have a history with Joe. Joe's off to a nice start there with Albuquerque. He hasn't given up a run. The internal numbers are good. The walks are down. The strikeouts are where they should be with Joe's stuff. He's throwing the ball really consistently. So, all those guys down there are on the radar. It's just a matter of, what if one certain fella fits at a given time. But we know Joe, and I'm pumped for him that he's throwing great.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yep.
Tracy?
Hey, one quick thing to follow up on Brendan. With all the trouble he had health-wise the first few years, do you think he put some extra pressure on himself initially trying to make up for lost time?
Sure. I think that's, that's quite possible. We've assured him as best we could, Trace, to, one day at a time, be yourself. Don't try to go, 5 for 4 in a given night. Just get a couple knocks, play the game. The game dictates a lot of times what you need to do. Let the game come to you. So, but I do know this. Guys feel much better when they get hits. Guys exhale when they hit home runs. We just need him to be in a good spot. Mentally in a relaxed state. Where he can really let his talent show and not try to press.
Thank you.
Patrick?
Good afternoon, buddy. How are you today?
I'm well, Patrick. Thank you.
I have a couple for you.
Okay.
You informed us a few days ago about Ryan Rollison and his appendicitis.
Yes.
I believe you told us maybe 5 weeks or so. I think that's what you said. Do you have any other updates on him?
No.
Or? Okay.
No, I don't. He had his appendix taken out. I don't know the timeline on those things, Patrick.
Okay.
I just heard from Keith and the guys. It's could be a month before
Okay.
he's back. I think so.
Okay. What were your reports on him prior to this appendicitis?
That he had thrown the ball pretty well. There are some directives that we gave him out of spring training, what we felt as though he needed to do, both delivery wise, one with his stride direction, with his right foot, his right leg, his right shoulder, some direction stuff with his delivery, hand position, also at release point. Some really some specific stuff is related to him throwing the ball, and he understood. It's nothing really earth shattering, but we needed to see that consistently, and that's one of the reasons why I went to AA. I think to really hone that in. Then we went to AAA. Same things continued, and I think after the first outing, I think he put together 2 or 3 solid outings. So he was throwing the ball well. And again, I think I said it, last week that, his stuff is, sort of similar to Gomber's in a lot of ways, low 90s fastball that he can elevate, he can get the ball in and out, good changeup, and that big curve, that big 12-6 slower curveball that, he has a lot of confidence in, he has good feel for. So, but, this was a little setback, obviously, with the appendicitis. But he'll be back. He'll be, middle of June? He should be back in the middle of July, from what I've been told by our medical team.
Okay. And my second question is, where do you see the production of your 2 catchers? And I'm talking offensively.
Yeah.
I know they've struggled on the road. They've done a little better at home, but it's not what you wanted, clearly.
No, I think Patrick, that's been a little bit of a dark hole for us the last number of years, right? I think, even, my tenure here, it's been a little, light, right? I mean, Luke Croy gave us a little bit of a spark in 17 when we got him. Ionetta and Tony provided some punch the years they were together. Ionetta hit some homers and, had a pretty solid on base percentage. But, we really felt as though, these two guys, Elias and Dom, would, provide, an offensive component. And I still think they will, as we, get near the halfway point and, the halfway point after that and the whole second half, I think there's going to be production, especially from Elias. I don't see his average, staying right around where it is now. I do think there's some power in there also. That's, it's showed up before in previous seasons. So I cannot believe that it's going to continue like this. So I see these guys being, much more productive as the season goes on. I think the thing we have to, realize that the strikeout totals have to come down. I know that, those two fellows are aware of that. They're doing everything in their power to cut those numbers down and increase the walk rate. But you're on point as far as, their production. We thought it was going to be more and it hasn't, and that's been frustrating.
I know that in spring training, Dom came in very confident, went so far as to say, tell me that he really believed he could handle the load of being a big league catcher, and in his words, be one of the better hitting catchers in the league. And as you mentioned, it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
You've had a lot of experience working with catchers and pitchers through the years. Do you think sometimes younger catchers underestimate the workload, the heaviness of the job of being a big league catcher? And maybe they don't realize how taxing it can be and how it can bleed into their offense.
Yeah. You don't know it until you go through it. And we've told that to Dom, a couple different times this year. The demands, I think what you're referring to, are great. And at the big league level, they are compounded much more than the minor leagues, right? The minor leagues aren't as scrutinized as the major leagues, and the competition is stiffer. I mean, it is better. The pitchers are better. The defense is better. I think the overall mental component through 3 hours of a major league game is way harder on a player than a minor league game. There's just a lot of pressure points, and for that demanding position, it's young catchers don't know it. They think they do, but they don't until you go through it. And Dom's living it right now. I think Elias has lived it. I think he understands it. I think he's just pressing because he's super frustrated in his lack of results. But in his defense, he's hit some balls on the nose that haven't fallen. That's baseball. We get that. But he also knows there's been some at-bats where, they haven't been up to his standards. So, we're hoping that, those guys, I don't even want to say catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, just, get to the level of performance which we think they're capable of. And it will help our offense. But right now, to your point, it's been too light.